Welcome back, everyone. This is Austin with 2F by C Tactical right here in New Prague, Minnesota. It's been a little while since we've done some videos. Our last video series was on the history of gun control in the United States, specifically federal bills that were passed that regulate firearms in the United States throughout history, all the way up till the most recent one of 2022, which was the Bipartisan Safe and Community Act. I thought we would do something a little bit different. Some of this is based on requests I got from some of you because as you can see behind me, we have a lot of really cool historical pieces here that I've been very fortunate to come in contact with, collect, and even some coming through the shop that are available to all of you that are of a history that serve some pretty specific jobs in history, I should say. One of the things that actually did come through fairly recently, and something I want to highlight, I was originally going to do videos starting from the oldest one I've got all the way up to the newest, but we're going to break in as new things come into the shop available for you guys to, to own that are of historical significance. And that would be something like this, the Winchester Model 1905. These were made from 1905 all the way up to 1920. This Winchester is showing a little age, of course. It is an older, it's over 100 years old, but historically speaking, these are really pretty cool. These are the very first batches of semi-automatic rifles available to the civilian market. Winchester came out with these to try to up the ante in terms of what you could do in the firearm industry, especially as a civilian. This particular one is chambered in 32 self-loading Winchester. That's what it's called. Kind of expensive and hard to find these days. Luckily, they just got traded in with some ammo that is available with it, and I got to take it out and shoot it the other day, and I'll have that at the end of the video. This particular one was made in 1906, so this is the second year of production for these. Some of these, and especially its sisters that came later, the 1907 model and the 1910 model, did see some service in World War I. As you can imagine, at the time, 1905, the armies of the world, it was predominantly bolt action rifles. We had the Craig Jorgensen, obviously, and then we transitioned into the Springfield 1903, and then the Pattern 1917 Enfield, the Eddystone that Sergeant Alvin York made famous. But this would have given you a great advantage because the Germans with the Gewehr 88, the French, Lebel, all these are bolt action rifles, so this would have given you a tremendous amount of firing power. One of the interesting things about these guns is the detachable magazine aspect of it, which is very unusual for the time, and its charging design to load the cartridge into the chamber is more of a plunger design, so you push down up here to load your cartridge into the chamber. It does feature, a very standard crossbolt safety that we see in a lot of later models, including today on, some of your most famous shotguns and such. But very interesting historically. Like I said, produced all the way up to 1920. They weren't uber popular, unfortunately, due to their cost. They were extremely expensive rifles for the time. Lots of great options out there. You got to think the Winchester 1894, for instance, still popular to this day, used all the time in hunting. If you already had one of those, then do you want to go out and drop the extra money, and for the time, a lot of money on something like this when there was nothing really wrong with that? Of course, you have the bolt actions available at the time that were popping up everywhere via either, military getting rid of their old stock or just the bolts that were on the civilian market, with the Mauser company and such. This was made by T.C. Johnson, designed by T.C. Johnson at the Winchester company. It would be followed by, in terms of military service, which we're very lucky to also have, the Model 1910. There is one in between these two, the Model 1907. We don't have an example of that today. And we're not going to break these down because there are some really good videos out there already with breakdown of rifles like these, the Emmett Columns of the world and Forgotten Weapons and such have done just a wonderful job of explaining the mechanics and how this works. So we won't get too much into the mechanical weeds of these things. This particular one, which is in actually beautiful shape for its age, this one was made in 1911, model 1910. This is the last generation, if you will, of these particular style guns. Still features that plunging charger up here, just like the 1905. The 1907 did the same thing. Detachable magazine. These were chambered in 401 self-loading Winchester. About $80 a box of 20. I could found some online, but very expensive to own and shoot, unfortunately. These, though, did have military service. These were purchased by the French and Russian militaries in the lead up to World War I, from about 1914 up to 1916. I couldn't find exact stats and exactly how many ended up, used in World War I. These would have been pretty rare on the battlefield. Obviously, you had the Mosin-Nagant 1891 pattern Russian rifle. We have behind me the 1891 30, which is the World War II variant, but they had the earlier version. Of course, the Gewehr 88, which I don't have a Gewehr 88, but there is a World War II one, I guess, right here, of the K98, which was the later cousin that would come later. Of course, the French had their rifle, the MLE, so M16, and we will get into these. I figured it would be awesome to show you some history that we have behind us. So these were pretty rare. These weren't widely available to huge swaths of militaries around the world. But you got to think, these are bolt action rifles, right? You have one of these. This gives you a great advantage with your detachable magazines. Now, there are some limitations to this. It is a bit awkward of a charging and loading feature. These don't drop like a modern magazine. It's a little lever right here, and it isn't the easiest to load and unload. Kind of got to push in on the lever to pull out. So it isn't like what we would think of a modern gun, where it's easy to change. For the 1910s, they only came in 4-round magazines. The 1905s did have a 10-round version of the magazines. I couldn't find any available, but they did make a 10-round version. So, these are very interesting historical pieces that come through the shop. And they, like I said, they are available currently right now. And that's something I'd like to do. Moving forward, we're going to highlight the different historical pieces that happen. And then when we don't have anything currently available, for instance, maybe we'll start hopping into some of the things you guys have been asking me about behind here. There are some fairly rare pieces here. Right now we've had, come through the shop, Human rifles, which are Swedish, which can't wait to highlight some of those things. Husqvarna, yes, they did more than chainsaws. They did make firearms. We've had some of those really cool historical pieces come through. But I look forward to sharing with you guys all these things. And like I said, I got the opportunity to shoot both of these the other day. Very smooth for the 32 self-loading. The 401 had a bit of a kick to it, but mostly just because I've never shot these calibers before, and I wasn't 100% sure what to expect, so by the follow-up shots, it wasn't so bad. These are both straight-wall cartridge rifles. So, for instance, if you want to hunt today with them, you could. Iowa straight-wall only. It's very possible to do that. The World War II version, if you will, of these, like, where did these go? Like, why did they disappear? The 1910s were made all the way up to 1936. The reality is they were replaced by the M1 carbine. Winchester came out with the M1 carbine, and that is what replaced these things. So they have a very early, interesting historical sense, but they did kind of shuffle off of the market somewhat quickly. I mean, you got to think 1910 to 1936. I mean, that's 26 years. That's not a bad run. 1905 to 1920, same deal. But you also got to remember what's happening 1920s, 1930s. The Great Depression, right, comes along. A lot of people couldn't afford these, to be completely honest with you. When I went and looked up serial numbers, you can see about then that the number of serial numbers dropped significantly per year and how many were being made. So they are they are not something you come across with every day. And the fact that we happen to get the early and later version of these in the shop is I find pretty awesome. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy that. After this, we'll show you the shooting of them, and like I said, these actually do have ammo that come with them, so you'll have the opportunity to shoot them if you look forward to taking something like this home. Until next time, we'll hop into the next cool piece that either comes through, or we'll start with the 1853 pattern tower infield that we have here. So I look forward to seeing you guys.